Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here and welcome to my guide to the drowned city of Skalla, the new dungeon in patch 4.1. This dungeon is unlocked during the main scenario quest of 4.1, requires an item level of 300 to enter, and drops item level 315 armor and accessories. It also, of course, gives you some tombstones. This dungeon consists of 3 bosses with trash in between. To skip to a specific boss, please use the timestamps under the video. The trash leading up to the first boss just consists of mostly simple enemies, Nonkas, Doblins, and eventually larva and a salt swallow. There is a point the tank may get a poison that adds a bit of damage, but you can assume it and it's not that powerful. Clean up that salt swallow and move on to the first boss. The first boss of this dungeon is Kelpie. For this fight, you'll want to remain on the center platform while dodging Kelpie's attacks, as the outer edge will place a damage over time effect on you and lower your water resistance if you step into it. Kelpie himself has a tank buster called Torpedo and a room-wide AoE called Rising Sea. At several points, Kelpie will dash to one side of the arena and begin channeling either Hydro Push or Hydro Pull. Due to what we assume is a text error, the effects of these two skills are actually reversed. Hydro Push will pull you towards Kelpie, and Hydro Pull will push you away from him. While a Kelpie's hooves in mythology may be reversed, odds are they didn't mean for these skills to be too, so at some point they may fix the text on these skills. The other one skill you'll find yourself dealing with is Bloody Puddle. This places an AoE on multiple players, increasing the number of targets as the fight goes on. When it expires, it will deal some initial damage and leave behind 2 water puddles that you should avoid standing in. A bubble will tether to each marked player and after a delay, explode in their face, dealing more damage. Just kite these orbs away from you and your teammates until they explode. The only part of this fight you may have trouble with is doing Bloody Puddles while also doing Hydro Push and Hydro Pull, especially while they're reversed with the text, but just stay focused and there's not really much special here. After Kelpie, you'll encounter several Stone Phobads. When initially aggroing some of them, they begin casting an ability that, when finished casting, shoots a line AoE out of each of their hands. If you see them doing nothing but casting when you first aggro them, stay away from the front of their hands. The rest of the ads are straightforward, so group them up, kill them, and go to the second boss. The second boss is the Old One. He mostly has AoEs you need to avoid, as well as a cleave on the main tank. His primary mechanic is self-destruct. He will occasionally summon several subservient ads that simply float around the arena. The Old One will begin casting Order to Self-Destruct when they spawn, causing them to explode if they aren't killed. Simply kill the subservients and you won't have any issues. Eventually the boss starts casting Shifting Light, which turns the party into Spriggans. Your only ability as a Spriggan is to drop a rock on the ground, which explodes if an enemy comes near it. Drop these rocks under the subservients to kill them in a single blow before the Old One casts his order. That's all there is to this fight. The trash before the final boss isn't really noteworthy, though it is fun to become a Zangbeto and float over those gaps in the ground. Use those ritual circles to transform and then fly over. Just before the final boss room, you'll start encountering Rotting Royals and an Accursed Idol. These hit a bit harder than the previous mobs, but mostly just use AoEs that you need to avoid. Clean up the trash and head to the treasure trove. The final boss is Hrodrick Poison Tongue. Hrodrick has several AoEs, but all of them should be familiar to you by now. The one thing I've seen get players is that he has 3 AoEs that have no indicators, but the boss himself rears up for the attacks, and sometimes posts a text message on your screen. If he raises his claws, he is about to do a large cleave in front of him. If he raises his tail, he will do a large cleave behind him. If you see either of these, just move out of the way. For that last AoE, he will laugh and then turn to random players, aiming a line breath attack at each of them. This one has no text on the screen other than his speech bubble laughing, so if he turns to you for no reason, sidestep away from his face. Other than that, Hrodrick has a proximity AoE you should move away from, as well as Eye of the Fire, which will confuse anyone looking at him when he casts it, so don't. And then he has all sorts of AoEs. One is a donut AoE, one is a cross AoE, and one is just a targeted AoE. Your best bet usually is just to have whoever has the donut AoE stay still, and you place the other AoE safely in the center of the donut, avoiding other players. He hits you with a ton of different patterns for these, but you should know how to avoid and place AoEs at this point in the game. Just dodge and place them all, that's it, you win. That's going to be a wrap for my guide to the drowned city of Skalla. Super simple and in an expert roulette with 4 dungeons no the less. Thank you for watching, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for all the latest Final Fantasy XIV news, videos, guides. Well, I got it, you got it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.